If you're self-employed and you're obsessed with lowering your taxes, there's a good chance you're missing one of the main drivers of your tax bill. Okay, it's a tax most people don't understand fully, rarely reduce on purpose, and often ignore completely by focusing on all the wrong strategies. And if you don't fix this first, you can spend the next 5 years tax planning and barely move the needle. So today, I'm going to show you what self-employment tax really is, why it feels so painful, and what legitimately lowers it versus what just sounds good. And I'm Jasmine DiLucci. I'm a practicing tax attorney, CPA, and enrolled agent. Every year, I see self-employed taxpayers, especially freelancers, consultants, and early S-Corp owners struggle with the same misunderstanding, and it's one of the biggest reasons their tax bills feel so out of control. And by the end of this video, you'll understand 3 things. Okay, the part everyone misses, the tax you're actually paying and why it feels so much worse than you expect, what doesn't work, the things people do that they think lowers self-employment tax, but it usually doesn't, what actually works, the few situations that actually change the outcome, and when they're worth using. Let's start with the part everyone misses, because until you understand what this tax actually is, none of the strategies make sense. Okay, self-employment tax is not a special punishment, it is just Social Security and Medicare tax. When you're a W-2 employee, you pay about 7.65% in payroll tax, and your employer quietly pays the other 7.65%. You never really feel it because half of it is hidden from you, and the other half is automatically withheld and never deposited into your bank account. When you become self-employed, that changes. Now you're paying both halves, and neither are withheld from your paycheck in advance, and that's where the 15.3% tax comes from. And because it's not withheld, you actually see it on your tax return, and that is why people are often shocked. They'll say, I only made $50,000. Why does it feel like I'm in a crazy tax bracket? And it's usually because you have your income tax plus state tax, if you're in a state like California, plus another 15.3% in self-employment tax. Most people don't realize how expensive self-employment is until the first tax return hits them in the face. And here's the part people really misunderstand. Self-employment tax is tied to you working in the business. It is the tax on active income. That's why W-2 wages have it, Schedule C profit has it, partnership active income has it. It's the same underlying tax the whole time, okay? Social Security tax and Medicare, but it's collected differently depending on how you earn the income. It's self-employment tax if you're a Schedule C filer or certain partners, and payroll tax if it's paid as wages through an S or a C corporation. So before we even talk about lowering it, you need to understand this tax exists because you are both the employee and the employer. Now that everyone understands the part everyone misses, let's talk about what doesn't work. Okay, the stuff people do that they think lowers self-employment tax, but it usually doesn't. Most tax strategies don't touch self-employment tax at all. Okay, here are the big ones that I see. Real estate. And we know this because IRC 1402A1 specifically excludes rentals from real estate from net earnings from self-employment, unless you're providing substantial services or operating as a dealer. If you already have business income subject to self-employment tax, buying rental property doesn't change that calculation at all. Where real estate does shine is income tax planning, right? Depreciation, long-term appreciation, and timing of taxable events. But it does not retroactively lower the self-employment tax coming from your Schedule C or active business. The second is forming an LLC, right? An LLC is a legal entity. It is not a tax entity. And if you're a one-owner LLC, the default tax treatment is that it is disregarded for federal income tax purposes. That literally means it is ignored in full. You're still a Schedule C sole proprietorship as if no LLC exists and still fully subject to self-employment tax. And if you're a multi-member LLC, you're by default a partnership for tax purposes. Active partnership income is still subject to self-employment tax, and LLC by itself does absolutely nothing for self-employment tax. And the third is offsetting the wrong tax base. Okay, this is where people confuse income tax planning with self-employment tax planning. Deductions can reduce income tax. They do not automatically reduce self-employment tax the way that people expect. Here's an example. The husband owns a medical practice that generates significant income. The wife decides to start a software business with significant losses, thinking this is going to wipe out our tax bill. It makes sense. The loss in one business is larger than the income in the other business. Common sense might tell you that there would be no tax due. For income tax purposes, that loss may help offset the taxable income on the joint return, but self-employment tax is calculated per person based on who earned the income. So the wife's software business loss does not reduce the husband's self-employment tax from his medical practice. His income is still subject to self-employment tax in full. So now that you understand the part everyone misses and what doesn't work, let's talk about what does work. Okay, the real levers that actually change self-employment tax. There are only a handful of ways to reduce exposure to self-employment tax. Okay, lever 1, be a limited partner. This is one of those few situations where partnership income can legitimately avoid self-employment tax. Under statute, a limited partner's distributive share of partnership income is generally excluded from self-employment tax, other than guaranteed payments for services. In applying the statute, courts and the IRS have consistently focused on whether the income represents a return on invested capital rather than compensation for services. Okay, where a partner is a bona fide limited partner under state law and is functionally limited in participation and management rights, the distributive share is properly characterized as a capital return and falls within the statutory exclusion. That said, this is not a free pass. Okay, the analysis still turns on legal status and economic substance. The partner must actually be a limited partner under state law. Lever 2, forming an S corporation. Okay, this is a big one that people hear about online. And in an S corporation, the owner wears 2 hats. First, you pay yourself a reasonable salary for the services you actually perform. That salary is subject to payroll taxes, which are economically equivalent to self-employment tax, okay, just collected through a corporation. Any remaining profit can then be distributed as S corporation distributions, which are not subject to payroll tax. Okay, and here's what people get wrong. Timing matters. This strategy only reduces taxes if the business generates enough profit to pay a reasonable salary and still leave excess earnings to distribute. Electing S Corp status too early often results in higher compliance costs, more administrative burden, and little to no tax savings because most or all of the income must still be paid out as wages. And as the business grows, reasonable compensation does not scale as a fixed percentage of net income. Despite common rules of thumb that you'll hear online, like pay yourself 30%, the legal standard does not permit formula-based compensation. The Treasury regulation provides that compensation is reasonable if it is such amount as would be ordinarily paid for like services by like enterprises under like circumstances. In other words, reasonable compensation is driven by the value of the services performed, not by how profitable the company becomes. As profits increase, distributions may scale, wages do not automatically do so. And lever number 3, tax plan for deductions inside your business. Okay, and this is the lever most people think they're pulling, but usually aren't. Deductions don't reduce self-employment tax just because they exist. They only matter when they are properly attributable to the active trade or business activity owned by the same taxpayer and included in net earnings from self-employment. Real deduction planning means understanding what actually reduces net earnings from self-employment, not just taxable income. Things like retirement plans, accountable plans, health insurance, depreciation, and benefit structures can reduce income exposed to self-employment tax, but only when they are implemented correctly, supported by the facts, appropriate for the stage of business that you're in, and most importantly, attributable to the business for the taxpayer with self-employment earnings. Here's the bottom line. Self-employment tax feels so painful because most people don't actually understand it. Once you do, you can stop fighting it and start factoring it into your planning, intentionally, legally, and at the right time. And that's the difference between chasing strategies that sound good and usually the few levers that actually change the outcome. And if you want real tax law explained by a practicing tax attorney and CPA, subscribe.